You're not doing it wrong. One of the most common things that I find with the women that I work with is that they feel like they are doing it wrong when they hit another roadblock or challenge, or the same trigger comes up for the fourth time. They feel like they're doing something wrong, and that they're not ever going to get past this. They're not ever going to be able to process through it, move through it, and that it's just always going to be that way. And I get it. I used to feel the same way. Before I started this journey, truly started this journey, I would start working on something, and then I would hit another roadblock or challenge or an obstacle, or hit that same trigger again, and it would send me spiraling. I would start doubting myself. I would start doubting the process. I would start blaming myself, saying that I'm never going to be able to get this right. I'm never gonna, whatever, move through this, move past it. And I was thinking about it all wrong. And it wasn't until I started this journey and I truly dove in to understand myself and the journey itself and all the things that I needed to work through that I started to see it differently. Because the thing is like, we are human. We are going to run into another roadblock, another obstacle, another challenge. We may run into the same trigger for the 8th time. And I had to start viewing those things as different things. It wasn't proof that I was failing, that I was broken, or that I couldn't do it. What it was causing me to do was look at it from a different perspective. So on this journey, what I did is I started looking at it instead of, it's not a linear process, right? You're not going in a straight line. So I started looking at it through the lens of it being a spiral. What do I mean by that? So I see this journey as a spiral. You're constantly evolving, growing, expanding into another version of yourself. And on this journey, we are humans. We are going to keep encountering different challenges, different roadblocks, different obstacles. And we may even, as frustrating as it may be, come across the same trigger for the 8th, 9th, 10th time. The difference is you're not coming back to it as the same version of yourself as before. You're coming to it as a different version with a different perspective. So when that happens, I had to start asking myself a question. Was there something here before that I couldn't see at the previous level that I was at, the previous version of myself? Is there something here that still needs my attention? A story that I may be telling myself that I need to process and release and move through, let go of it. That's not true. Is there a limiting belief around whatever it may be that I need to work through, process, reframe it into a different perspective, into a different belief? Is there a boundary that I need to set down? There's all these other things that come into play. And when you're looking at this through the lens of it being a spiral, there is this version of yourself that is growing, evolving, and expanding. And you're just going around this in a spiral. So there's times it's going to feel like you're going backwards, that you're not making progress, and that you're just staying in the same spot. But I had to stop and look and ask myself, am I really at the same spot though? Am I really looking at this same thing from the same perspective that I was before? Most of the time I'm not. That's why shifting that perspective and that view of the straight line of this journey that's just going to be up and up and up and up is not realistic to me. I believe it's a spiral, and changing that and using that as my viewpoint and how I changed how I approached challenges, struggles, coming to the same trigger again, any roadblocks that may show up in my life, because the reality is that there's always going to be something that shows up. As part of life, we can't get away from those things. And I honestly believe that on this journey, we should always be learning, growing, evolving, expanding into the next version of ourselves. And to get to the next version of ourselves, we are going to come across roadblocks, challenges, things that are going to push us out of our comfort zone. I still go through these. It's part of the process. It's learning how to reframe it, look at it through that lens of it being a spiral, and learning how to just enjoy the process and learning so much more about yourself to a level that you weren't even aware that you had. I've learned so much about myself on this journey and looking at things as a spiral and growing and evolving and expanding that I didn't even know about myself before. So, the next time you come across another challenge, a roadblock, an obstacle, or a trigger for the 20th time, ask yourself, are you coming back to this as the same version of yourself that you were before? Start looking at your journey as a spiral. Keep track of the things and watch it start shaping the world and your perspective and the things around you and in your life. And I'm not saying that it's going to be easy to do this. You're not just going to be able to think about it one time and that it's going to be this new process that you look at it through. You might have to remind yourself and pull yourself out of that spiral when you're spiraling because you hit that roadblock, and just remind yourself gently that it's a spiral. We're at this at a different level. Ask yourself those questions. What can you see here that you couldn't see before? A story that you may need to work through, a belief that you need to work through, something. And if you can't answer it right at the moment, just remind yourself that it's a spiral and that it's here. You're aware of it. Take some time to step away from it and come back to it later on. That's totally okay too. There's many times where I hit something and I don't know what it's trying to tell me or teach me at the moment. And instead of becoming frustrated or sending myself down this spiral of like, oh my goodness, I'm never gonna get better, this is just who I am, I take a step back, I'm aware of it, take a step back, make note, and live life. And I come back to it at a later time when I can maybe look through it through a better lens and a better perspective. So if you start seeing it as a journey or your journey as a spiral, let me know how it works for you.